What's going on, guys? It is Laser here with another weekend video analysis on our favorite stock, NIO. We drop one of these videos once per week. So for those of you that are brand new and just joining in for the very first time, we drop one of these videos once per week, usually on a Saturday morning / afternoon. As you can see the time right now, it's Saturday. It's 10:54 a.m. my time. I'm in the central time zone. And we just really like this stock, and we like to drop our analysis and our TA on here. And having said that, there's times when I'm right and there's times when I'm wrong. And I'm just here to share with you all where I think the stock's going. If you're making a big financial decision, please do your own due diligence, of course, as always, and do your own research. Again, I'm just a guy who loves the stock. I love just charting the stock here. Take everything I say, obviously, with a grain of salt. But having said that, let's get started. The way we like to do things, and again, for those of you that are new here, the way we like to do things is we not only like to look at NIO, we like to look at other names to try and build confluence. Because when you just look at one name, like NIO, sure, you can run some TA, but it's better when you can fill in some more puzzle pieces when you start looking at multiple things. So we are going to look into BABA. We will look into the Hang Seng index. We're also going to look at the Dixie. For those of you that don't know what that is, that's the US dollar. And there are other names, but just to kind of keep this video kind of contained and not too long, these are the names that I've actually chosen that I want to review each and every single week, because that really helps us ultimately figure out what direction can we anticipate NIO is going to go. As you all know, there's going to be earnings that are going to be taking place next week. My TradingView app actually says it's going to be in 6 days. So I guess that's going to be the Friday, March 21st is when that's going to come out. So we have another week before a very explosive, volatile event. That earnings, I'm expecting fireworks, and I'm expecting volatility. It'll be important not to get emotional for earnings, because as you can look to the left, there's just been multiple. There's always going to be an earnings. So it's not something to get scared about. And that's what technical analysis is all about. When we do it here, is we try and actually build conviction in the direction of where NIO's going. That's about actually just feeling good. You want to feel good. You want to feel good and know that, things make sense, that it's going to go where you think it's going to go. And that's what we're going to try and do here. Having said that, if you aren't already following me on Twitter, please do follow me on Twitter, because I do post, and I try and post daily updates. I didn't get an update out on Friday, just because, in my personal life, I've just been busy this week, very, very busy, and been feeling a bit of a burnout. So, but I'm still around, and I'm still watching the stock on the daily. I can't keep my eyes off this thing, and hence why we're making these videos once per week. So let's dive in. We're going to talk about NIO here. For those of you that are new here, we've had this drawn out for quite a long time. This is our first trend line that we had a break in December, and then it helped form a secondary trend line, which broke in February. And since February, you can see there's been like a change of behavior in the stock. It's kind of, you can almost draw it out. And I had actually a really, really fancy tweet here, and I'm not going to be able to redraw it, but we'll maybe do that at the very end of the video. I want to talk about some important things about NIO. So one of the most important things that I talked about, if you were following me on Twitter, was how I believe $4.92 is going to be a very, very big level. So I have some lines drawn out here, and I'll explain them in a second. Actually, if you're not sure why I'm drawing these lines here, I'll explain everything. But if you notice right over here at this price zone, this is 492. And we'll just look left together, and you can see how this is a very important pivot zone. Now, I don't want to actually ignore the fact that it did break with authority on 20%. That's something that you can't ignore. But let's draw this out. We have a rejection here. Basically a rejection. Just shy. A break in similar fashion here, but a rejection because it wasn't able to hold. Rejection. It's come down here and it's trying to hold this level. You can see it was holding right there, but ultimately decided to reject. And you can see the last time that we've come back down and retest this level with authority, you got that continuation and explosive move to the upside. So we're looking at this level. Rejection. And a rejection. And you can see that there's your bounce. And this kind of basically broke out. And this line basically started all the way. That's weird. It should have been right there. There, that's better. And so why is this line super significant? This line is the middle of the parallel channel, which is 50% of the way from up to down. You want to know where else you see 50% from? And I know a lot of you guys that are into TA know this, but I'm going to illustrate this for you. I got to turn that magnet off. I messed it up. So as you guys all have heard of a Fibonacci retracement, a very important level on the Fibonacci retracement is 50%. It's the halfway mark. Now, this is essentially a Fibonacci channel, but we're really only highlighting the 50% zone here. Now, it's the reason it's different from a Fibonacci channel is it's dynamic. And it's dynamic in a sense, if you look at where the 50% is, it's actually 487. But by the time we've gone all the way, like we've passed all these months, it's that center is now closer to it says 490. I'm pretty sure it was like 492. Something ain't lined up. Did I line it up nicely? I can't remember. Let's line this up again with the magnet. I'm positive it should be 492. Because that's what it was the last time I checked. There it is. So it was off by a couple cents, but so we are at 490. Well, I guess it's borderline 92, 93. And we currently close below it. I think it would have been better if we closed above it. It definitely would have had a way, way better look. And I was really hoping that we would close above it. But there's a couple things that I want to point out that I wanted to describe. So let's clean the chart up. I hate a messy chart. As you all know, we hate a messy chart. It makes it hard to read. When there's too much crap on the chart, you can't read it. You got to keep it clean. Keep it nice and clean. And so, oh, by the way, I don't know if I can't remember if I explained this, but the 1 and 2, when these two broke, that's when we started going up. And the thesis, by the way, is that we're going to not only come up here into 6, but we're going to break higher because we can stack these channels. We're going to come up into the next zone here, actually. But we're not talking about that just yet. We want to talk about right over here when we broke, okay? Just how we were able to draw 2 trend lines over here, 1 and 2, in a downtrend. You could draw 1 and 2 in an uptrend. So I'll delete this too. I'm gonna really make it clean. So I don't want you guys to be looking at anything that that I don't want you to look at. There's 1. And that's kind of sloppy, so I'll do a better job here. That's kind of, there's your 1. And there's your 2. So we have a second trend line. And we want, as soon as 2 breaks, now you can make an argument that this is 2 if you want it to be fair, but we're not going to do that for now. We're not there yet. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. For now, this is 2. And I'm going to describe to you what happened here. Bounce off this, it made a support, and you wanted to see that bounce, but instead it broke under. The whole market took a dive, and it formed our second trend line. Now you could also, no. We're going to keep it like that. There's our second trend line. So when you break under, If you were following me on Twitter, I was afraid this would have been a bear flag. I actually was like, it looks kind of spooky. If it doesn't break back up, it could potentially turn into a bear flag. And if you dive right into the hourly, there was a moment in time where it was like, you can see exactly where it flipped. So I gotta use the magnet tool for this to really illustrate. Extend to the right. It was like right here where it was like, I remember this is where it closed last Friday. Yep. And I'm like, oh, it looks so good. It looks so good. Gave you a little dip. Exploding up. And so basically, going back to the 24 hours here. Sorry, I hope I'm not bouncing around my chart so fast that it confused you guys. Not what I'm trying to do here. Something doesn't look right. What did I do? What did I do? Oh, yeah, this is what doesn't look right. So there's your one. Apologize. This is a bit messy. And this basically invalidated the bear flag got invalidated, which is great news. So this week, I was worried for a bear flag. You didn't get it. But what you got instead was a breakout. This, I'll label this so you guys were all on the same page here. Breakout. Potential bear flag, which got invalidated because we reclaimed the first trend line. Now, for those of you that have been following me for a very long time, and you probably don't have to follow me for very long to know what comes after a breakout, you guys. After every breakout, there's always a what? Pullback. Now, a lot of people are confused because some people would say, well, what are you talking about? It broke out over here. Why does it need to pull back again? Well, just realize it was literally just forming a bear flag. Now it changed and gave you a brand new breakout. It broke back above. Whenever you break back above, it needs to come back down for a pullback to retest that zone, actually. And so long as we stay above that first trend line, we're still game here. And so it's in a very interesting spot. It closed below here, and I don't think that's like the end of the world because I think it's still pulling back. And one thing that I'm watching here is this first trend line, and I wouldn't be surprised early into next week, you'll get that bounce that comes down a little bit lower. I mean, you can see it go as low as, as low as 458. I'm just trying to be realistic here. If it comes down into that level, and we're going to draw this right into earnings, and we bounce right off that, leading into earnings, or potentially we break out above, which would be the ideal scenario. Actually, it wouldn't be a breaking out. It would just be forming a new high. Earnings comes down just in time for earnings and explodes really fast, really, really fast. We're getting crazy momentum right after that earnings, actually. So it'll do something like that. So long as this holds, we won't ever have to pull back again. Like, this is the pullback, okay? Where we're going to run into an issue with this thing kind of just giving us more pullbacks. Sorry, I'm cleaning this out. We're going to run into an issue if it breaks back under again and then says, oh, psych, we're going to break back up. If it does that, let's just say it does this, and it's like psych. Let's just say it breaks under. And everyone's freaking out like, oh my God, it came down into earnings and it's 410. Let's just say it just did that. Psych. And on earnings, boom. Well, let's just say best case scenario. Boom. Well, guess what happened? This was another potential bear flag that was forming here because it broke that trend line. And then if it broke back up above, which is this is going to be a new breakout, there's going to be another pullback, another one. So long as, and that's I'm just trying to explain why there's always so many pullbacks. These are these back tests that happen. That's testing these levels. And then it would be like, okay, and it drives investors crazy because people have been waiting forever. But like, if this was ready to go, it wouldn't be breaking this. In a perfect world, what we want to see for next week, we want to see this level hold right here. We don't want it to break under again and open up like the bear flag theory. If you get that bounce, and maybe it just goes, we're good, and we won't need to actually pull back. This is your pullback. That is your pullback. We are in that pullback actually, and it won't need to break out. The only time that you would actually want to see another pullback is after it gets another breakout, and that next breakout level is going to come right at $6. So if we get that big move from earnings, like I don't know how much of a move that would be, 70, maybe that's too ambitious. But if it broke this $6 level, what I suspect is you're going to get like that pullback that retests this breakout. Every breakout requires a pullback and a retest. It's just, that's the mechanics. That's the chart mechanics. I feel like I'm doing a little bit of too much rambling here. So I want to talk about some other names here so I don't spend too much time here. And let's quickly review the velocity, which by the way looks fantastic. The reason why it looks fantastic is this recent move on here was on a fresh high. And so here's something interesting that I'm going to point out to you. Remember when we were forming that bear flag? It actually broke the velocity. Psych, it broke back above. And so it's doing this. Higher lows forming. So we could see another big move forming here actually. And with earnings around the corner, I'm torn here, right? I'm super torn as to the full direction. Usually when you build out a pennant, just like I'm seeing right here, it's very rare to see this down and then straight V recovery. It's rare. What you often actually get is you get that move down, and we'll turn on our golden pocket again, which is, where is it? It's right there. What you often end up seeing is you end up seeing that move up to that golden pocket, which right now is 520. Pulls back. Maybe it forms our higher low here. Just by earnings, maybe it breaks out above. It just barely pops its head under. And that's usually how a stock will kind of get continuation, actually. Because it dropped quite a bit. It dropped, what, 13%? Your golden pocket retrace zone is going to be around 523. It kind of zigzags in that motion, and boom. We explode higher, actually. And it's going to be a big level. And what I would love to see is a similar move where we get up and we break the previous high at 780. And then it works its way down into, it'll be something like this. Come down, come up, come down, and then this flips from support to resistance. That's what you got to see. You're gonna see something like this. If we get that move. I'm just talking. And then and this is exactly what Baba is doing right now as we speak. It's literally doing this. We're going to look at Baba next. And up we go. And it's not going to be a straight line. It's going to break out. It's going to consolidate again. Because every breakout needs a pullback. It's going to do this. And then it's going to go boom. As you can see, there's your 1 This is how I would imagine it. You're 1, you're 2, boom. And now we've gotten way higher. What happens if I extend this to the right? Look at that. Isn't that just like, it's beautiful. It's so beautiful when you do this. And it doesn't have to stop here. Again, it could, you know, you can keep stacking actually. But I'm everything looks good. Everything looks so good on NIO, other than the fact that it didn't get that close on 492, but it doesn't have to do that in the first shot. I think what you're seeing is the start of that reversal towards the golden pocket. We're going to see that 520 get retested, likely rejected, comes back down, and boom, then we go. Now let's look at BABA quickly. That was a lot of NIO. Oh, and by the way, this higher high is we're game. Where I'd be worried is if it was a lower high and there would be divergence, but there was so much speed velocity that move was supported. It wasn't a fake out. That was for real. That was a real move. And so in this pullback, you can even look at the volume, which I don't really like to do analysis on the volume, but it's worth noting that on this current pullback, it's been on much lower volume. Bullish. BABA. Remember I said that's exactly what BABA is doing right now? Look what BABA did as it broke out of its channel. It zigzagged, formed our trend line, broke out, zigzagged, just like I said NIO was going to do. Right up here, I said NIO was going to have like that similar kind of move. And this looks so freaking good. Now, I actually had this previously last week. I'm like, it's a pennant. It's going to do it. But of course, it pulls back, right? That's just the way stocks go. Breakout, pull back, breakout. Maybe you get another pullback, one little tiny pullback. Boom, 172. 172, and I've mentioned this time and time again. BABA going up is a win for all Chinese names. You want BABA to do good. BABA, and the reason we talk about BABA is, I think, one of the biggest and hottest and most exciting names. It's like a mega cap in the Hang Seng Index, and I think it does carry a lot of weight. I don't know how much weight it carries, but I do specifically remember when BABA was beating earnings, it flipped Hang Seng from red to green, like completely. Like this day right here when it had this massive like 10% move that made a lot of it made a huge move on that Hang Seng Index. So that's gonna go up. I think NIO is still poised. It looks great. There's still legs on here, and the thesis really does stand that we're gonna erase this because it's a big hot mess now. And this was my thesis from day one. My thesis was this, and it was simple, real simple. I know you guys all like simple. I like simple. Who doesn't like simple? My thesis was simple. You break two trend lines and you test the top of you test the top. That's the way it works. That's your first trend line. That's your second trend line. Man, NIO's went through so many hoops. It's proven to us. It's given us the green lights to come up here to 619. Let's test that. It's proven to it. It's just, we got to wait. You got to wait till it does its thing, right? It just, and I've already explained it. I don't want to re-explain it, but I'll do it again in case you missed it or you forgot. Broke under, broke back above, retesting, and waboom. And then, of course, you either get like this topping formation and it rejects here, which that would be kind of sad, or you get a break. Comes back, retests, boom, right? That's the way I see it so far. Hang Seng Index. Guys, it looks really, really good. I was worried about the Hang Seng Index quite a bit. Where is my Hang Seng Index? Right there. Okay, so why was I worried about it? I was worried because, wrong tool. I was worried for a number of different reasons. I was worried because, number one, it was like rejecting, and I was worried it would do this. I was like, crap, if it doesn't break back over, it's really bad, because you can see it broke under, I was afraid it would reject here and then it would start this mega pullback, which would have negative implications on NIO. However, look closely. We are above resistance. Breakout. Ideally, we want to see a little bit more of a lift, a pullback, and we rock it. You want to flip this level from support into resistance. It's so important for China to do that. I think it's going to do that. Baba looks ready to rip, and it looks so good. Now, the reason I was also scared for Baba, sorry, not for Baba, but for the Hang Seng Index. So we'll stack that. I was worried about this. I can't remember if this is how I drew it. I might have even drawn. How did I draw it? We'll go 4 hours. This is what I was worried about. Am I even doing this right? I honestly can't even remember how. I might have saved the drawing on here. Yeah, it was like that. Okay. I'm doing it right. And this is kind of where I was like worried. Because just like how the 1 and 2, this is what I was worried about, that 1 and 2 it broke under. Now, here's something that you want to take a look at. You got a breakout, right? That's a breakout. I mean, you can argue this was the breakout, that was the pullback, and it's going higher. It's in such a really interesting spot. Like, look at that. That's just insane where it's holding 2,400. It's above a very important level. Now, here's the last missing puzzle piece, because if we're gonna rip, where's my yellow line? We're gonna rip like to the end of March to 27, 28. Here's the Dixie. So we had this channel previously drawn out where it broke, and if it cannot reclaim this level 104, which it looks like it's going to come up and retest that, Dixie going up would be kind of like, that would imply like a dip across the market, small dip. If it can't reclaim this level, $98 is on the cards. Sorry, 98 for the US dollar. US dollar dropping to 98, that's a 6% drop. That's traditionally extremely bullish for the Chinese market, the American market, Bitcoin market, and it's got such a good setup here. And so there's your 1. It's interesting because if this was a fake out on the Dixie, I mean, it would break back above. You would get that small retest as it broke back above, and then everything will be in for pain. And I think it would be riding up to 111, which nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see the US dollar right up there. And if they cut US, like, I think like the narrative is like if they cut interest rates, it's going to have such downward pressure towards the US dollar. And I can see it coming down to 98. That's what I believe. I believe you get that one more run up here, which would imply maybe slight dip back into 104, and then boom, down Dixie. So those are your missing puzzle pieces that keeps us very bullish. And of course, there's earnings coming up on Friday, which, you know, it's going to be basically a volatile event. But what we'll try and do is we'll try and stay very unemotionally detached from the stock, and just look at it from a technical perspective to see where things are going. And so long as we're above this line, we're game. we are game. And I want to wrap this up with something interesting, because some of you guys may want to know, like, what's the ultimate like target here. I had an awesome tweet, which was basically the way I envisioned it. Let's stretch this out a little bit longer. I envisioned it something like this: double top, comes down and forms our handle. Okay, so this is not quite. We'll do it like that. So we got our double top, forms our handle. Not that deep of a handle. It would be essentially back down to 6. And then you'd run like big time. There's your cup, and your double top gives you that pullback into a handle. So you got your cup and handle. And if you guys can't see it, I'll just draw the handle for you. Right? There's your cup and handle. I mean, it's not here. You see it? The cup and handle. And I think that that could potentially play out here. I'm just trying to remain bullish and optimistic going into next week. But again, what I'm watching for next week is I'm watching for the price to retest $5.20. That's the golden pocket. So we are wrapping the video up here, but I wanted to quickly tell you what I am watching. I'm watching a dip down into 460, 459 potentially. Assuming the bottom is in. It might not be, because what you might be seeing is you might see it dip right down. So this is what I anticipate. Maybe Monday morning, back down to 458. And then Tuesday or Wednesday, boom, you get that nice lift into 518. Is it 518, 519? You can probably come down there. It's going to be around 518, 519. Okay, I don't know if I did that perfect. Let's just call it 518. Comes back down for a high. It forms our higher low. We've got our trend line, which is our pennant. We get our decision when it breaks above, and it's probably going to do it like just by barely. It's just barely going to break, I think. And all of a sudden, you're just going to see this huge move. That's the way I see it. Now, it can play in a different fashion. It could break below 458. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, and we did talk about that. If it breaks under, then it needs to break back out again, and then it needs to pull back. It just stretches things. You don't want to see this break, guys. It's going to just be painfully long. We're going to be waiting a lot long. If it breaks under, which, I mean, like, that'd be the dumbest thing. And if it did that, then you need another breakout. Then you're going to need another pull. It's just going to have to reset all over again. So it's proven that it literally has all the cards to push way higher. You just got to have patience. Patience is the key here. That is it. That is all. And I wanted to just point out, like, real quick, a lot of people are like, oh my God, like the SPY, it's crashing. Oh my God. It is like at like severe oversold levels. And I'm fully expecting the SPY to retest a golden pocket. And it already looks like it wants to reverse. So if the bottom was in at 549 on the SPY, and people who watch the SPY, I think it has, because it does trade on the American market. It will have implications. And I think we're going to actually see, at the very least, 591, which is going to allow us to draw our next trend line. And it could then, kick us lower before it, retests, forms another higher low, and then you get that final breakout. This could essentially be, it could play out like that. Now, it also could just do something like this. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, the American market is crazy. And if it does this, you could just get like this nasty V recovery. You could see something like that too. Either way, either scenario, we're going up. The market's going up. The market's going to be green. Everything's going to be green, and that's going to bode very, very well for China, for NIO, for everything. They're all kind of correlated here. So another 5% to the upside actually here. That's where I'm thinking we're heading. That's it. That's all. That pretty much wraps up my video. If I didn't cover anything and maybe I missed something or maybe you have any questions, leave it in the comment section below. I'll do my best to try and get back to you and respond and answer to any questions that you may have. Thank you so much for if you've watched this entire video. Don't forget to smash the like button and hit the subscribe button if you want to actually get updates for when these videos go live and be first to watch my videos. Eventually, I'll come out with some new videos, but for now, this is all the time that I have. That wraps up my video. Hope you guys all have a wonderful weekend and cheers.